Okay, here we have a Indesit washing machine with a tub that's damaged. The bearings have been contaminated and worn out, and it is extremely noisy. To show you what the problem is here, you hear that clunking. That's the playing the bearings because they've worn away. So I'm just going to have an attempt at changing it. First thing we're going to do is remove the top cover. Obviously I've already isolated the unit and disconnected it from the water supply. Let's have a look inside here. That's the top in the middle there. There's possibly screw holes along here on a conventional tub that you can replace the bearings on. These are glued at the factory. So I'm going to dismantle the unit first. We're going to remove the top brace. Then we're going to remove this top counterweight. It's just 3 bolts on this one. And lift the concrete counterweight out of the way. Then we're going to undo the soap tray. It's just 2 screws in the front, 1 screw in the back, and then these 2 power connectors for the water supplies. It's just 1 screw in the back there. And then down here there's a connection onto the soap tray which leads into the tub. It's just a hook, it just hooks over, there's no retaining clip. And just moving that out of the way, complete with the solenoids. We're going to remove this vacuum sensor also. As you can see, I've disconnected it, but you will have to move that out of the way also. And then just flip the unit on its side, flip the machine on its side. Just going to take these 2 nuts off which hold the shock absorber in place. Just 2 10mm nuts. And then we're just going to undo the sump. That's the black holes there, that's the actual sump. It's got a ball inside it, just show you that. White ball, ping pong ball, there you go, slightly bigger. And then we're just going to undo, there's about 4 or 5 connections on here for the element for the heater, as well as I'm undoing here, securing clips. I'll highlight them in yellow so you can see the ones I need to remove. There, you need to disconnect all of these connections. And as you can see, I'm just disconnecting the connector for the motor. Finally, that's the whole lot disconnected there. And then I'm just going to turn the unit back up. There's a top seal which is secured by a retaining clip. I've undone it. That needs to be freed also. There's a clip that goes all the way around this seal, hold it to the top, secures it to the top. You've got to remove this also. And now that everything's pretty much loose now, it's just these springs holding it on, the suspension springs. I'm going to remove the top. Strongly advise you seek help here because it is heavy. I'm just feeling strong today. Try not to damage the shock absorbers like I nearly did here. And then once we've got the top out, it's just a matter of removing the machine housing, the washing machine housing, to put that out of the way for a bit. And then I'm just going to remove this concrete slab off the front, or counterweight, as well as the shock absorbers and the motor. Here you can see the movement in the drum due to the worn bearings. And I'm just going to drill some holes along the side, which I'm going to use to bolt the unit back together once I put this apart. Just going to drill some holes along this seam where you can see me drilling. It goes all the way around, and I'm just going to drill holes probably about 6 inches apart all the way around. And it's just a case of cutting the drum apart now. Obviously try not to damage the stainless steel drum inside, just cutting the top apart, sorry. And as you can see here, I've successfully managed to split the tub. Now I'm just going to remove the pulley, drive pulley at the back of the tub. It's just a 10mm Torx socket, I think it is, Torx key. Just pull the pulley off. Like so. You may find the top is actually seized onto the bearings, or might be a bit tight to come off. You don't want to hit this with a hammer to damage the spindle. You want to hit it with something hard and soft, like that 3B2 I'm using there. And as you can see, the tub is free. And that's the inside of the tub. And I'm just going to clean that up a bit, get rid of all this excess inside. That's the actual bearing that failed and forced water into the bearings, which caused them to rust away and become noisy. And this is the outer bearing. So first thing I'm going to do at this stage is remove the seal, the inner seal. Should be easy enough to remove. And that's the seal there that failed. And I'm going to place the top on top of a bucket and remove the outer bearings. And as you can see, I've whacked the outer bearings off. It's supposed to work in a circular motion when you're doing this, but I have got the bearings out, fed out in the bucket, as you can see here. That's the outer bearing. It's in there. And to show you inside the damage, the inner bearings are still in place, and this is what's causing the problem. That's why they're noisy. They're completely rusty and contaminated by water, obviously caused because the seal failed. And now I'm just going to knock out the inner bearings. Just place the top on the floor for this one. And there are the remnants of the bearings on the floor there. This just to get this to this stage took me 30 minutes approximately. And you might want to pause it here. These are the details for the bearings for this particular model. Ordered a new set of bearings and seal. They've arrived. It's the invoice, cheap enough. And I'm going to refit the outer bearings. I'm going to use the old bearings to assist me with this. So what I'm going to do is put some grease around the bearing housing and the actual bearings itself, help it to slide in easy. And then I'll just put the old bearings, I don't need them anymore, so I'll put them on the outside. They'll help me to drive the new bearings in place without damaging them. Just whack it all the way in till it seats into its recess. And then once again I'm going to place the tub on top of a bucket. And then I'm going to fit the internal bearings once again. Bit of grease around the housing and the actual bearing itself just to help it slide in a bit easier. I managed to find part of a car jack actually, but it fits nicely around the edges, and I'll use this to drive the bearing in place into its recess. Just make sure that's fully driven home into its recess. And now that the bearing's in, it's just a matter of refitting the new seal. And I've managed to drive that home successfully. Just got to remove this part which I used to drive the bearings in with. And as you can see, the seal's in place now with the bearings, and I've cleaned it up a bit more. It's just a matter of fitting the stainless steel drum back into the tub like so. And fitting the drive pulley back over. And as I've said before, it's just a Torx nut, which holds it in place. And that's it in place, seems to be spinning free, no movement. Now I'm going to hold the top together with Gorilla Glue and some nuts and bolts. First I've got to glue around the edges of the tub where I've cut it apart. Be careful with this glue because it makes it, if you wear gloves, because it'll make a right mess of your fingers. It'll take days to come off. And I'm going to apply glue to the outer side of the tub also, the cover, which I split earlier. This glue's pretty messy. I don't want to make a mess of the floor, so I'm going to leave it to dry on this tarpaulin. It's just a matter of aligning the screw holes on the cover with the tub, which I drilled earlier. Get it all lined up, and then pop your screws in. Your nuts and bolts. Sorry. Once again, do wear gloves because this glue is messy and harmful. And once you've got the bolts, nuts and bolts all in place, it's just a matter of going around and tightening them up, all of them. And then come back next day. It's dry now. The glue's dried. It expands as it dries. You may want to test for leaks at this stage by just blocking this sump at the bottom, filling it with water as much as you can, and just rotate the unit, make sure there's no leaks. Now I'm going to refit the unit. I'm going to start off by refitting this bottom concrete counterweight. And then I'm going to put the shock absorbers back on. And then I'm going to refit the motor. You can put this on afterwards, after you drop the tub in. I'm just putting it back on while I can. Just two 10mm bolts hold that in place. As you can see, the Crocs are back. And then just refitting the belt, simple to fit. Just hold it onto the pulley and follow it around like so. And once it's fitted, just spin it a couple of times to make sure it's nice and secure, doesn't run off. And then I'm going to refit the springs. And then I'm just going to bring back the machine housing, finish the assembly. And like I said, ask for assistance with this because this tub is heavy with the concrete on board. And as you can see, it's completely finished now. Seems to be running fine. There's no noise. No loud noise. And that pretty much concludes. Once again, thanks for watching and please subscribe.